Aloha Management 310. My name is Braven Kuniyoshi, and my book review will be The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, written by Patrick Lencioni. Hopefully I pronounced that last name right. So, a little bit about the author, Patrick Lencioni. He is the founder and president of the Table Group, which is a management consulting firm. He has worked with thousands of other executives and worked on organizing from the top 500 companies like McDonald's, Apple, all those kind of companies, to high-tech startups and universities. He's also the author of his other known management books, The Advantage and The Ideal Team Player. Now that I discussed a little bit about the author, I would like to summarize what this book is about. On this slide, if the words are a little bit too small for you, I do apologize. Everything can only fit in so little space. So to summarize the book, this takes place at Decision Tech in San Francisco, California. This is based on a real company. And this is about a newly assigned CEO, Catherine Peterson. She is a former military, former 7th grade teacher, and she has enrolled in a 3-year business program in California State Hayward. And afterwards, she has gone around the world and has manufacturing experience. According to the executives at Decision Tech, Catherine has no high-tech experience. After she was hired as a CEO, she began to observe her team's behavior, production, her other executives, their employees, their bosses. She wants to observe and identify the problems within the company. After a few weeks of observation, she assigned an off-site meeting with the executives in Napa Valley, sorry. During the off-site meeting, she discussed the 5 dysfunctions of a team in an illustrated model. I'll discuss the 5 dysfunctions in the next slide. After she discussed the team model, she wanted to point out the problems within the executives and try solve those problems. And of course, solving problems comes with a change. And apparently, some of the executives couldn't accept that change kindly, and as a result, 2 executives left or quit. But as are the other executives, they were willing to change, and that way Catherine discussed those changes and then she implemented them. After months had passed by ever since the off-site meeting, she evaluated the changes in progress so that way Catherine can make any further changes within the company. What Catherine is trying to discuss about is effective teamwork. As a business, you want to work as a team. And in the next slide, I'll be discussing the 5 dysfunctions. So this is the pyramid of the 5 dysfunctions. I'll explain each and every one of them in their separate slides, starting from the bottom to the top. And starting from the bottom is 1. Absence of trust. 2. Fear of conflict. 3. Lack of commitment. 4. Avoidance of accountability. And 5. Attention to results. And now to further discuss those dysfunctions, I'll be starting with the bottom. Absence of trust. Absence of trust, based on the book, is invulnerability, which means you're not being open amongst other team members. If you're not open, you don't form a trust. And without trust, it's nearly impossible to form a team foundation or a team structure. To overcome this, trust does not build overnight. It takes time. It takes time and experience throughout the weeks or months. But trust mostly doesn't come rapidly. And on to the next dysfunction, fear of conflict. Fear of conflict or artificial harmony. And which, by the way, each of these dysfunctions, starting from bottom to top, they all chain together. So that's why if your team has a lack of trust, then that means you fear of conflict. And with a fear of conflict, team members often avoid engaging in debates and discuss ideas, and rather discuss veiled discussion and guarded comments, which otherwise it would lead to a boring meeting. Sorry. To overcome a fear of conflict, team members must know that conflict is productive. Conflict is meant to be there. And if the conflict is if it's a healthy conflict, then that makes it easier decision making amongst team members and managers. On to the third dysfunction, lack of commitment. I'm not sure if I will pronounce it correctly, but based on the book, it's ambiguity. I don't know how to pronounce it, but what it means is without a healthy conflict, it means lack of commitment. If you're afraid of conflict, then you have no passion and you have no sense of opinions in open debates, and therefore members will not commit to making decisions. When I read about this section, I interpreted it as that this is a psychological dysfunction, and how to overcome it is that team members must learn from mistakes, be humble, and move on without looking back. Looking back into your mistakes, you can learn from it, but don't go back to it to the point that it's going to hinder your performance. On to the next dysfunction is avoidance of accountability. Based on the book, it's low standards. And this results from failure to committing to a clear plan of action. And it also creates resentment among team members with different standards of performance, meaning everyone could perform different based on standards, whether it's high or low, and therefore it creates mediocrity. To overcome avoidance of accountability, everyone must be accountable to each other and the business. Even if you have poor employees, they can still improve with the right motivation and guidance. With a team that's able to be accountable to each other, they can identify potential performance problems, and therefore they must set high standards. And on to the last dysfunction, attention to results. This is, based on the book, this is the worst dysfunction of the 5, as it reflects to status and ego. This is when an individual puts their individual needs above the collective goals of the team or business goal. If too many employees put their individual needs too far, the team can stagnate and eventually fail, and easily get distracted from the business goals. To overcome this dysfunction, employees must get past their individual needs and look into what the business wants. If employees and team members are able to pay attention to results and reoccur away from their status and ego, they can the business can maintain their achievement-oriented employees. And as I said before, this also minimizes individualistic behavior. And with attention to results, the team can enjoy success and won't suffer from failure as much. Would I recommend this book? Definitely yes, because this book relates to anyone with a job, including myself. This book can help managers and leaders, or even the lower employees, improve and even step up. And lastly, it illustrates how to work as a team and not as individuals. Anyone could relate to this book. especially from my experience. Back then I used to work at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse at Restaurant Row, and two of my coworkers, they were based on the fifth dysfunction and attention to results. They had a huge ego, and it was to a point that an ego was a communication barrier. A huge ego will lead to an ineffective team, and that could be the team's downfall. Bottom line is, managers and leaders and in the book executives, they must learn to be humble, take the criticism and feedback, and learn from it to improve. And that is all. Thank you for watching. I hope this performance wasn't as as bad as you thought it would be. And don't forget to submit the peer review. Your feedback I would appreciate. I would appreciate your feedback. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.